when I heard your music, it's so unbelievably professional and crisp.
Thank you so much.
That I thought that I said, wow, they have to have a machine behind them. And now that I know that you don't, that's even more impressive.
We're the machine.
We're the machine. The Russian machine, right? We gotta
the
go
Russian machine. I love it.
I am the machine.
I am the machine. There you go. Right. I was waiting for that.
You're rocking the Shure SM7B. That's what I got as well.
Yeah, right.
Everybody, if you don't have that, you're just not cool enough to be honest.
What right.
Everybody has that.
Like, if Joe Rogan has it, right, you gotta have it.
I know exactly.
Joe Rogan's got like 3 of them, so
yeah, I'm sure. Right.
One of us has to get one for sure.
Right.
That's so awesome. So this is so cool, but I discovered you guys sort of by accident because I was on Facebook, and Facebook always tells you like, oh, you should add these people because you're, have the same friends or whatever.
Right.
And that's kind of how I discovered you guys. And I've been doing that with a lot of different musicians, which is really cool. But yeah, so I thought I'd reach out, listen to your music first. And I was like, okay, got to have them on the show because I'm a really big fan of your music.
For sure.
Yeah, we hope it was a happy accident, right?
Yeah. Well, it was definitely a happy accident. But we appreciate a lot of different genres. We're definitely a little bit different than you guys. We're more of like a funk rock type thing. But I heard you guys, and I was like, okay, got to talk to them.
We had a chance to briefly check you out earlier today, you guys.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Okay.
Yeah,
what do you think? Honesty is imperative right now. What'd you think?
Absolutely. So we both agreed that we had you guys have some kind of a similarity with like early Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay.
Like you mentioned funk, right? And they were all about like funk during their early albums, right? I got a glimpse of maybe Black Keys a little bit,
Okay. Very cool.
Also before they went more pop direction,
Right.
So basically, we're in that phase where we're still cool and haven't sold out yet.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I got from you guys right there. That's what I got.
Right. Yeah.
Very creative music
cool.
videos. We also really enjoyed those.
By the way, that music video with the witches, right? I'll be completely honest. I love Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I don't mind funk at all, right? But the current trends is that people don't really, watch videos for like 5.5 minutes, 6 minutes.
Which is true.
And like I'm one of those as well. Sometimes I check out some stuff and I'm like, yeah, I kind of get where this is going. With your guys' video, I was like hypnotized for like 4 minutes, and in 4 minutes I had to hit the space bar, and I was like, Sasha, like this is some interesting phenomenon going on here. Like, nothing is like bothering me musically, like visually.
It's been like 4.5 minutes, and I still don't want to switch it off.
Don't want to turn it off. Like, I almost had to make myself like click on that just to talk to Sasha. I'm like, visually, those guys are doing something great. This is like on a near zero budget done music video that gets me like, gets my attention instantly. So I'm like, I'm applauding you guys.
Yes. I'm flattered. It's funny you say that because we had that discussion. I said, should we shorten this track so we can make a shorter video so that people will be able to get through it? But we totally went for that like old school horror, what's going on in this video type thing. And that's always been an interest in mine. So I was like, what if we just made funk music, but we made it like horror funk?
Dark.
So
yeah.
Dark funk.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, for sure. We got some like references to the Ring movie.
Okay. Yep.
A lot of it was just shot, but we had a rough idea, and we just went on site and worked with the daylight we had, and we kind of wrote the music video as we kind of went. Like, all right, let's
it went. We had no plans. We're like, let's just go and see what happens.
Wow, that's cool.
You guys are great. Seriously, like that music video in together with the track as well. There was nothing that was like bothering me, wanting me to like, maybe, and that's not even my style of music that I like, would be like watching and listening to the music and watching the music videos, like you guys got my attention like right away. I was like, oh, okay, so something is interesting happening, I'm paying attention to that, and I'm paying attention for 4.5 minutes, and I'm listening to the background that is the soundtrack, right? That is your music playing, and it's not like conflicting with the image either. So it's like,
thank you very much. That's really
to me that's the win. Honestly, to me, that's the win right there.
Well, I know we listened to your stuff. I listened to the newest EP. Hold on once. Hold on. Wait. It's like One Small Step.
That was the debut one. That was the first one. Yeah.
The very first one. So I've been listening to that a lot. But I didn't notice I didn't check to see if you guys had music videos. That's one thing I didn't do.
Okay. You missed out on one thing. That's okay though. We do have
a lyric video for every single song.
We definitely are strongly leaning towards the visual side as well. Right. So for us, the visuals are as important as the soundtrack that's happening behind it.
For sure.
So we made it a rule, since full production music videos are kind of cost prohibitive, for the most part, right? And we wouldn't be able to afford like to shoot music videos for like 20 songs, right? We made it a rule that we would at least have a lyric video that is done in like a cinematic way.
It's more like
visuals, right?
Yeah, it's more like what is it?
It's not like lyric video in the way that you would see like text on the black screen and like some music, right? It's like more than that. It has like an idea behind it, and we definitely work very hard with the production studio that does those lyric videos for us. Like we supply them with early ideas. We come up with a list of corrections and a list of suggestions after they send us the initial draft. So we kind of try to like fake it into looking like a music video,
like a music video.
Concept. Like a concept video, right? There you go, right. It only takes a minute. That's fine.
I was going to ask if it was like a kind of an artsy type of way of doing it, but
in a way, yeah.
Are you guys part of a label?
No, we're not.
Maybe not yet.
You could have fooled me.
See.
When I heard your music, it's so unbelievably professional and crisp.
Thank you so much.
I thought that. I said, wow, they have to have a machine behind them. And now that I know that you don't, that's even more impressive.
We're the machine.
We're the machine. The Russian machine, right? We gotta
the Russian machine. I love it.
I am the machine.
I am the machine. There you go. Right. I was waiting for that. Yeah. No. Seriously though, like we're not. There's no label behind us, but like during the early stages of the band. Like we're still in the early stages, right? Like who am I fooling? But like from day one, I'd say, like quality has to be there. Like that's something that I don't want to compromise on. I don't care. Like, yeah, you gotta pay the premium to get some quality content there. Like we obviously did not record our songs in our home studio, right? Mm-hmm. Some people can pull it off. Like we're just not one of those.
But we were lucky to find the producer when we were on the same page with him from the day one. And like even before we started working with him, we already exchanged like 75 emails.
Yeah, true story. Yeah. Like we didn't pay him a dime, and he already wrote us like 70 emails.
He was that involved, like believing in the project, and like we just went with it.
That's excellent. Oh my God. So I remember speaking to you. I don't know who I was speaking to before.
That's probably me. Yeah.
Oh, that was you. Okay. Yeah, I remember you had mentioned that you were working and stuff. So these are the first question I usually ask is, are you working? And I'm assuming you guys are essential employees if you're both currently working.
We kind of are. Like we do Grubhub and DoorDash deliveries. No shame in that. I feel like, we got to make the living. And, even though during those times, these hard times for everyone, right? We had a choice like, okay, so what do we do? Like, do we apply for unemployment and sit home, right? That would be enough to pay the rent. right? We would be able to survive, and like many musicians, hopefully we would be able to dedicate this time to like creation of something new and beautiful. And like, I'm not saying it with sarcasm by any means, like that's something I would really want to do. But we have 4 new songs that were already done and that were already scheduled for the release, and the only part that wasn't done was mastering. And so we didn't pay for mastering, you know. We had to pay for, you know, for those songs to be released. You know, we're obviously going to do some kind of promotion. So I was thinking like, okay, so
we're obviously gonna do some lyric videos.
Yeah, we already have like a couple done out of those 4 songs. We're hoping to do a full-blown music video for at least one of them, but hopefully more. I'm shooting for more. And I was like, you know, the risk is there, you know, but people have to eat, and you know, we can make some money and kind of keep that deadlines that we set for ourselves, you know, and keep going with the release plan that we had.
Yeah.
So that's what we decided to do.
And you guys are doing you guys really are doing like a you know, a humane service, because people right now in food and stuff, it's tough.
Right.
And you guys are doing that, you know, and you're driving out there in different places and helping people out. So that's really cool. I was thinking about doing that myself, because I'm furloughed until the end of June. So I'm sitting on my butt, just like you said, and I'm collecting unemployment, but I feel like maybe I could be doing something, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Something helpful. Yeah. And at first it was very scary, actually, like seeing all those barricades in front of the restaurant and nobody's letting you in. And it's like everybody's in masks.
People are like freaking out.
Movie.
Like, you know, like you obviously there like to, you know, support the community. And like, yes, you are earning money for yourself as well, but you kind of are doing the service, right, for everyone, like trying to get people to stay home as much as possible, which is something I strongly believe in, you know, and unless we're told that, you know, false alarm, that's not a false alarm, let's face it, right, that's never going to happen,
right?
But you know, so saying like, okay, the threat is not as severe right now, right, and then we can kind of continue with our lives, right? But like, even restaurant owners are like reacting, you know, in a weird way, like you're a threat. Like I'm the virus myself, you know, and nobody knows. That's the thing, right? Like maybe I am. Who freaking knows, right?
Yeah, that's a scary. It really is a scary part, because you know, my wife and I, we get food delivered a lot, and we have them leave it on our porch. I get my gloves on, I go grab the food, and then we take the food and we clean the food, you know, and it's like, we're kind of like, is this the right thing to do? We just want to be careful, but
absolutely. You know, I don't blame you at all.
With that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the basic like human needs that every delivery driver needs to satisfy, like all the restaurants all of a sudden just close their restrooms, you know, like you're not allowed to go in. I'm like, what am I supposed to do after 5 hours of driving? Like, excuse me, like drive back home like 15 miles? You gotta be kidding me. But yeah, you know, like you gotta do what you gotta do.
But
like it's all good.
It's
getting better a little by little. I feel like it's getting better, you know, or either that or we're getting used to it, you know.
Right.
That's another thing too, for sure. I'm unfortunately getting used to doing nothing. So when I do get my job back, I'm gonna be like, do I have the energy to do anything?
I know.
the most menial tasks are so difficult for me. It's like I have to go to the bathroom. It's upstairs. I'm like, do I have to go that bad?
Maybe I could wait another couple hours, right? Yeah, that's exactly the process I'm going through. Like while driving, maybe I could wait a couple more hours.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
No, it's all good. You know.
When did Major Moments start? I'm assuming it was your guys' baby. But
it is.
Right. Even though I wasn't in the band, even at first.
Sasha wasn't even a part of Major Moment officially on day one. She was always a part of Major Moment behind the scenes. She was always helping us with you know, different administrative tasks, creating accounts on social media, the website that we have, a beautiful website. You know, I'm not afraid to say that it's a beautiful website that single-handedly done by Sasha. Her first website, you know, of this scale at least, right? And she was always helping me out with some, like tightening the bolts here and there, and like creating the more professional look online, because I was focusing on like other aspects of it, like writing stuff for one, right? But then slowly got introduced into the creative process. Creative process. Yep.
Yeah.
Segued right in.
Right.
Yeah.
It happened naturally.
Right.
It's supposed to be that way.
It did happen naturally. And from day one, I was like, she should never be a part of Major Moment, because like I come from a business background, and doing business with somebody who's close to you, like friends or family, is always like a very, very difficult topic. Very hard thing to pull off like successfully, without ruining your personal relationship, without ruining your business.
Right.
So I was like, I cannot risk, I love this woman so much that I cannot risk our personal relationship. We're married, by the way. For anybody
I was wondering.
Right. For anybody who was unaware.
Right.
And I cannot risk my, music project, because everything is involved there. Like, let's not mix this and that. However, I have to admit that I was very wrong, not for the first time in my life, but that's one of those occasions where I was very, very wrong, and actually by Sasha joining us, I feel like we made a huge leap ahead, both visually. Thank you. And also from a creative standpoint as well.
That's so cool to hear that it all worked out and you guys were able to actually not only.
Thank you.
So far, so good.
Knock on wood,
Yeah, I know.
No, that's really cool. It sounds like you guys are really you making it work, and not only is it working, it sounds like it's actually it's a betterment. It's actually improving the band.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. For this upcoming cycle of new singles, you guys didn't have a chance to listen to them yet. Didn't have a chance to send them to you. I didn't want to send you something that wasn't quite done yet. Right now, we're at the point where it's done finally. Yeah. So I'm really thrilled for you guys to listen to it. And Sasha also stepped up, and she became even, a bigger part of Major Moment in some way of our creative process. There are a couple surprises for you guys. Okay. We have some songs that don't sound quite as the way that everybody used to the sound of Major Moment. It's still the sound of Major Moment.
Right.
And it's very recognizable. But there are some changes here and there from the creative part. And that was the first time, I'm going to reveal a little secret here. That was the first batch of songs that me and Sasha participated as far as songwriting goes. Basically like 50-50 partners, right?
Wow.
So we would sit down and like, start going back to the day that you were not even in the band, right? And then you kind of made your way in, right? Slowly but surely. And now like we just, sat in front of a computer and like that was the first time ever that I wrote lyrics with somebody else.
That's the first time ever he allowed me to join the process.
Okay, you can word it this way. And I have to tell you that, I'm very happy with the results. And, our producer that we worked with, Kevin, he was super thrilled. We were just like going through the studio footage today. We always film our, studio process. Because for me, it's like, first of all, it's a learning process, so when we're in the studio for like 60 hours, we come out with 60 hours of footage, and Kevin makes like jokes about this all the time. Like, I've never had bands that like document their presence in the studio so like meticulously, right? And like we're like, I mean, I'm not gonna post 60 hours of footage on the internet, right, on our YouTube channel, but I'm gonna take snippets here and there, and for myself, it's and for Sasha, I feel like it's a very good thing to watch again, to revisit those moments.
Absolutely.
Kind of realize, okay, so where can we do better next time?
Yeah.
So that's the big
Absolutely. That's great. That's such a great idea. At the very least, I created like a spreadsheet that has like every show we've ever played, how much money we made, what happened during the show, just so we can look back and say,
Absolutely,
that didn't work or that did work. So yeah, I do kind of the same thing.
Yep.
I wish I had this. I wish I had footage like you. But I got lazy.
I know. That's what the joke was. Like Kevin was like,
when do you have time to go through all this footage? Right? Who's gonna edit this shit, right? But you know.
Amazing.
Crazy video editing takes such a if you put on just with this podcast, kind of like Sasha, like you mentioned. I think you mentioned she did the website, right?
Yeah, and she also does video editing as well.
Yep.
Right, Sasha and I have a lot in common because I actually I do the video editing for our podcast here, and I also manage our doc.
I feel you, dude.
I'll do air high five.
Thank you guys for your service.
It's almost like a part-time job.
It is definitely
ready for production, like getting it ready for YouTube. And it's so many hours of meticulous work just for like a small, a relatively short video. So I understand the process, and
it feels like it's never done. You always can tweak it.
I watched it. I'm like, you know what? I could have done that way. I could have.
Right.
Such as the same with recording music as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mixes are never done; they're only abandoned. That's what they say.
Absolutely correct. Yeah, absolutely. We've done that before with Mariana. One of our albums, Mariana. I remember at one point we're like several months into the mixing.
Enough.
We're all in the car and like it still doesn't sound right. And we're like, you know what? Make a decision. Just put it out there. And like I had to step away from it. I didn't listen to it for months, and I went back. I'm like, actually, that doesn't sound as terrible as I thought it did.
Here, there's always like a different scenario as well. Like when we were in the studio and we were working on our debut EP, One Small Step, I was thrilled about how it all sounded. But right now I'm feeling like, okay, well, if I was doing it today, I could have done some things better now. Now looking back at this 2 years, something that I've done 2 years ago, not single-handedly, right? We all done that, but we were all thrilled with the results.
Yeah.
However, given the experience that we have today and given the direction of the sound that we have today, it's quite different. And I'm thinking about maybe even people say it's like a movietone. Like you don't do that. And like. It's like a bad move to do, but I'm seriously thinking about going back, revisiting those songs, taking them, stripping them down, and like trying to build them back, because I believe in the songs. It's just the arrangement is not quite as 2021 or 2020, right?
This is what recording are you speaking about? Like, was super early.
One Small Step.
One Small Step.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Wow, so you're talking about one
song. But I have a plan. So my plan is we've done 4 new songs, right? And they sound like something that we want to sound today. We have One Small Step recording that was done in 2018, early 2018. And I want to take like some of the best songs from the first EP, some of the best songs from the second EP and the third EP, and maybe get them together and release as a final or something like that. So people who already heard them, they're still going to be there on streaming services, right? The way they were used to be as part of an EP, but maybe we can redo it as part of an album. That's my thought.
So crazy. I was literally thinking this exact same thing earlier. We have an EP called Seven Witches, when you saw.
Yeah.
That's actually the name of the EP, Seven Witches. Yeah. It's 4 songs. And I'm literally thinking, because I was never really totally satisfied with that recording, because it was just, I know. So it's just like you. I was thinking today, I'm like, what if we re-released it just for vinyl and we did a different version just for vinyl? I was so funny. I was just thinking about that.
Let's do this.
That's amazing. We're doing this. It's official.
Do it. I'm down.
That's incredible. I was going to say, I usually go through everybody. I go through all of your work that's on Spotify, and I couldn't get off of Before It's Too Late. I had to instead of going to the next track. The chorus of that song is so infectious. I was like, the melody was in my head. And I was going to go to the next song, and I was like, I got to go back and hear the song again.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
But what I will say is that not only is the EP incredibly cohesive, but I love when songs mesh into the next song.
Yeah.
Because Steve and I, we're big fans of classic rock. We love,
of course,
we love the Beatles. We're so into that, like,
Oh, that's good.
an idea of a project being like a what's the word? I don't know why I can't think of it. It's almost like a concept album.
Concept album, yeah.
Yeah, and I loved when each song went into each other. I love the intro too. I love that intro. Everything was so good about it. So, but it's funny because, like, you know, you just released it a couple years ago, and you're already like, well, it's not up to my standards. You know,
we're evolving. I don't know.
I love it. I love it as a piece of work, like you said, you know, and definitely tying all those songs together with like transitions. There's a transition that goes after Before It's Too Late into the Mistakes song, right? That we had to cut out for the purpose of Before It's Too Late being a single, because it now was like 6-something minutes long, you know, and we wanted to get more to the radio standard, so we had to be like 4-something at least, you know.
Got to make the radio cut. The radio.
We had to be more like radio friendly, of course, right? And you know, it was such a big part of the process for me, like to get all those songs together and then get the transitions right as well, and you know, it worked.
I mean, it was the first thing we've ever done.
Right.
So we wanted to put everything we liked in
everything we had. Right. Right.
Yeah. We did a 24 pages booklet with this EP, like for a CD, and I have that here.
Right. It's like,
okay,
we have a whole freaking
like a lot of pictures, lyrics, and like stuff like
we were
that.
designing
and
this
that's from the studios. That's a real Polaroid pictures, you know.
Nice.
Right. We were designing this booklet for like 6 months. That's insane.
That's so cool you guys took the time to do that, because I really appreciate when artists do that. It's like when there's a complete. I really like vinyl too. CDs are cool. But vinyl is, to me, the ultimate, because it is that immersive experience.
Right.
I can flip those huge pages of the artwork, and I really appreciate it when you can tell when an artist puts the time in. Like you said, you put 6 months, and you can tell. You know, all those subtle details with the genuine Polaroid montage there, all that good stuff. And it's really cool when artists do that, because really art and music really go together.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
You know, and it is still like that, you know, but with digital streaming and all that good stuff, it has changed, obviously. But I think it's still, people still appreciate that effort that artists put in there with the artwork, and you can tell visually. And like you were saying earlier, like, when the visual matches the music, whether it be the art sleeve in a vinyl or music video, to me, that's just even better. It's like, it's the whole picture. Get the art and the music is such a cool experience, and that's really, to me, what music is.
It becomes something else, you know. It becomes a different form of art. I think.
Absolutely. It's the best kind of art, because it blends art and music, and it's
another dimension.
Another dimension, yeah. And I can say that we're all here a part of like what is considered now an older generation. Let's face it, you guys.
Come on, man.
But you know, like, we all remember holding you know, CDs in our hands and like flipping through pages of like liner notes and reading through all of them, especially with us being born in Russia, you know, like all this information about like artists that were not Russians, right? Like, it was like hard to find, you know. It wasn't like an Iron Curtain or anything like that. It was just you know, it was cost prohibitive to like ship official CDs to Russia, you know, when you can just like copy it on the CDR and like sell it as a real thing, you know, and you would never get the booklet, you know.
Well, so you guys didn't get the advantage. Sometimes it wouldn't make it cross-border necessarily.
No, not really. You know, usually they would just, you know, we're from different parts of Russia. So Sasha is from the capital. Sasha is from Moscow. I'm from like suburbs, you know, like.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and like things were harder to get in my city, you know. So official CDs, they were crazy expensive and crazy hard to find as well. I feel like one of the first official, you know, CDs was, I guess, Hybrid Theory that I got. And, you know, my friends looked at me weirdly. Like, you could buy it like for $1. Why would you spend like 30 on it?
You're like, it's not the same, man. It's not the same.
It was legit $30.
Yeah, you have a different relationship, I feel like, with the artist when you buy their music, you know. You know, I think it was the Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan, the lead singer. He mentioned that he was on Joe Rogan recently. He mentioned that when you buy somebody's album, even now today, it's like you have a special relationship with the artist. You know you're going to go out and get their next thing and their next project. The relationship changes when you just have them on Spotify and you're just picking songs. You know, it's just different. For me, I still listen to Spotify as much as I can, but if I love an album that much, I will go buy it on vinyl. I will keep it shrink wrapped. I won't even listen to the vinyl. I'll just look at it.
We have plenty of those. Yeah.
I've been doing that too. My past, like I've gone on a vinyl binge this quarantine because why not? So I've done a lot, and everyone I buy, I'm like, I'm not opening that. I'm not opening that.
Yeah.
So I bought this. I don't know if you guys like the band Yes, like a product.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Sure.
They just recently released the album Fragile. All remastered in a special box set from the original masters, and it was
like not open that. Don't open that.
Limited edition. There's only 7,500 of them, and it's still in the box in my closet. That will never see the light of day. I'm just like,
I just wanted to say, like, from the perspective of a Russian girl, when I was young, like, I didn't even think about the artist. You say about the special relationship, and I would always buy the pirated version because, like, I want to get that. That's the only thing that I want to get. Yeah. And like, for me, the artist is some kind of like a different universe. Before I started to travel, like, I didn't realize.
You became one. Right?
Yeah, it's like somewhere there, like far away. I don't even know like who these people are.
Yeah, you guys have to realize, like, for us, somebody like you would be able to go, like you were able to go to see like Metallica in the show, like, or maybe go to a meet and greet with them or something like that. You know, different artists. For us, those people, they're from a different planet. They don't exist. We only know of them from MTV.
Yeah, I know.
Like they're like the other side of the screen.
The idols, they're like
They're surreal. They're like movie stars as well. You know, same thing. Like,
yeah, absolutely. And I think I did this, you know, the same thing that you guys did sort of with our first EP. We made a booklet, and it changed the way I thought about it, because I also pirate music and I did my whole life. But when I was thinking about how I just take music for granted. And then when we made our first EP and we put time into the booklet, I was like,
so much work.
I hope people actually look at this. I certainly wouldn't as a kid, but now I have a different respect for it.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
But I have to be real. I also done it for myself as well, from egoistic standpoint. You know, I wanted to be like on the same, you know, not on the same level maybe, but kind of, right? Like with the artists, I always, you know, cherished works of, you know, and I look through their booklets, you know, and now I can look through mine, you know, and I've done that. One thing I can say is, like, we would love to have some official support from like labels or distributors or something, because that would potentially open doors for even better quality merch, even better quality CDs. And like I see some bands, and they came up with, like, you know, maybe labels or designers they have, you know, on retainers or whatnot. They come up with some ridiculously beautiful works. It's not something that we can possibly do, like something that is like a collectible. This is a collectible. This is a piece of art. Like, just put it on the shelf. And like we have, well, Daft Punk is a huge band, right? Like, and obviously they can afford to do whatever the fuck they want right now. But like, we have this collectible issue of their latest album, Random Access Memories, and it has everything in it. It's crazy. It has like gold and silver USBs that are like designed as their symbol. They have like a whole like art book that is like fully colored. The whole thing is like a piece of art, and it's like it's $300 or something like that. But I was like, I'm getting that, like that. I'm getting that because I have to have it. Like, I love this band, and like I just have to have this. This is like, just going through it. It takes like at least a half an hour. To go through everything there, like a half an hour. Like the other day, like our friends visited us, and like we went through it again. They're like, hey, pull this up. So we went through it. It's an experience, you know, like as overused as this word is.
Everybody was like, holy shit.
Right.
This is
like,
so much work.
It's so much work.
Yeah.
Like, crazy.
But that's
the one thing I'd say is, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Steve. I just want to get this point across quickly because I just thought of it, and I agree with you 100% about that. Like, to get a machine behind you to make better merch and better everything. The only thing I'm concerned about is, especially nowadays, as soon as you get that machine behind you, how much they want you to change to make them more money. And that's something that I've always been nervous about, because like right now, Major Moment is doing exactly what they want to do. You know what I mean?
That is true.
In a couple of years, you get that machine behind you. They're like, well, listen, I know you wrote that song the way you did it, but what if you tweak this? And it's like, now things get muddy. And it's not yours anymore. I don't know if that's the case. I'm just spitballing, but that's what I've always been concerned about. Is
you just gotta request to work with your producer.
Right.
That is true.
Just read the fine print. Don't sign any contracts.
Right. Well, thank God.
Sign the right contract.
Sign the right contract.
And also,
actually,
real quick, I was gonna say, be careful, because if they start taking you out to fancy dinners and limos, don't forget you're paying for all of that.
Yeah, of course. Right. Of course. Right.
I saw the Backstreet Boys documentary. I saw that.
Yep. Same. Yeah, we watched it the other day. Yeah.
In sync or something.
Going back to Billy Corgan and the Smashing Pumpkins, on the Joe Rogan podcast, he said when Virgin Records signed the Smashing Pumpkins, at the very bottom of the contract, it said, "This contract is for this universe and any other universe not yet discovered." That's
the trend right now.
That scared the shit out of me.
Whoa.
It's like, there's no way you're getting out of this, boy.
That's unbelievable. It's like, we own you forever. Like,
yeah. I don't think he's complaining, though. You know?
No, not at this point. Not at this point,
right?
So, do you feel like the sequel, your second EP, do you feel like that was just as enjoyable as making the first one?
It was different. It was. I feel like a couple songs from that EP kind of gave us a clue of, okay, I think we're onto something here. I think like we want to go towards that sound more. You know, those songs were Living Your Life Like This and May Leave Scars, and we didn't just like. First of all, they sounded like a little bit off from all the other songs that we did, and then by it's not a coincidence probably, but the public, the audience, they responded, and the industry specialists, they all responded more positively towards those two songs.
Right.
So it was kind of, a win-win situation. Like, people wanted us to make more music like that, and we wanted to make more music like that. Right. Even though we love our first work dearly, we leaned towards that sound, and we came up with something that doesn't even sound like that, which is crazy.
But we went in this direction.
We went in this direction, but we came up with something that sounds much more superior to those two songs and to the second EP, the sequel. I feel in general, I feel like those 4 new songs, 2 of them specifically, are like, those are very good. I'm very proud of what we were able to accomplish with them.
The best that we've done so far.
The best that we've done so far, and I feel like we know where we're going with this.
That's excellent. I was snooping around on your Facebook page, and I noticed that you guys have like a slew of nominations and awards and all kinds of stuff, which is incredible.
We do have a couple, yeah.
The list was going down. I was like, okay, this is a lot. I noticed you guys did like the John Lennon songwriting contest.
We did.
Yeah.
We did awesome. Win that. Yeah, that was amazing, and we won the Lennon Award as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it to me personally, like I told you guys, I'm from nowhere. Like I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be talking to you. I'm not supposed to be making music. My whole family is like doctors in like suburban Russia.
But his dad is a huge fan of Beatles, so this award was like.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man,
it's such a huge deal for me. Like we cannot, like I cannot comprehend it. It's awesome. Like I feel so honored. I took my parents when I already lived here. And they lived in Russia still, and they still do. The first international trip ever for them. I took them to London, to Liverpool, and to Birmingham. Obviously, for my dad as a huge Beatle maniac. To visit Paul McCartney's childhood home and like John Lennon's childhood home, it was such a huge deal. So I have a
giving me chills.
It's giving even me chills. Like I was there, and like my dad was there. I'm like, this is like this is what the record labels were talking about in that Billy Corgan contract, some other universe.
Yeah,
For me, it was some other universe, seriously. And, later, a couple of years later, to get the award that has the name of John Lennon behind it, it's like, how did they get here? It's crazy.
Unbelievable. That's incredible.
It is unbelievable.
And you know what? You deserve it, and we're glad you're here.
Sure.
Glad you're here.
Thank you so much, man.
Absolutely.
What would you say some of your favorite venues that you've played in the area, or the Boston area, or around where you live?
Not huge about playing live, because I feel like with our level of like production and sound, it takes quite a lot of work.
It's very challenging to manage.
It's very challenging. We feel like from even like we're not trying to ask for like colored M&Ms or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, right? But like it has to have some kind of a level of at least sound, So we don't.
Sure.
Like it has to all make sense. We can't just. Yeah. We did show up and play at the art gallery. Where we also had to rule our own sound.
Oh yeah.
Whether or not that was a successful show or not, I will not say.
Right. I get that, because you guys have such an epic sound, and it's a big production. So I can imagine when you play live, you still want to capture it somehow. And if you don't, it's a
lot of moving parts.
Feel rough.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts. We don't want to compromise on anything. We have 2 synths, we have a laptop, we have a second laptop that's firing backing tracks, we have 2 guitars, sometimes 2 vocalists, right? Bassist, the drummer also has the percussion pad for samples as well. So it's a lot of things, and like a lot of venues want you to like do a changeover in like 10-15 minutes. For us it's like super tough, so we have to be like super organized, and we always go through the process of like troubleshooting, like Derek mentioned, of our previous shows, and like trying to get everything faster, everything better, trying to up the quality. Some of the favorite venues,
Sonia.
We didn't play that many venues.
I was to mention Sonia. Have you guys have played at Sonia?
We played at Sonia once, and it was like probably
it was the best show.
Probably the best show we've ever played. Just because from the sound quality perspective, it was great. We had the chance to do the sound check, which is,
and every single band had a sound check.
And every single band had
a
sound check, which doesn't happen all the time. And for us, it's such a big deal, because like if all the levels, when we start playing, if all the levels are in the middle, or at 0, it's gonna sound like shit. Sorry, nothing we can do about it. It's like certain elements have to go down and certain elements have to come up, and like the only way which ones are those is either we go through a prolonged sound check, like that is like at least 15 to 20 minutes, right?
Right,
very least. Or if we hire somebody who really rules our sound,
which is ideal.
Which is ideal, but it's like cost prohibitive as well. So at some point, like I was like, fuck it, like we invested in in-ear monitors. We invested in in-ear monitoring rig. Like everybody, doing it like half professionally runs it off of X32. We're able to set up our own levels in our ears, and at least we're not falling victims of like I cannot hear myself, and I don't even know if my guitar is on it or like my synth is on. Like I'm playing, but I don't hear anything. So if not to even say if I'm playing the right part, if I'm playing something and people hear it at all.
Yeah. Same
with vocals. Sometimes it's like. It's at our level, it's always a struggle, and I'm sure you guys can relate to that. Like you've been to some shows and you've played some shows where, those stage wedges, they were like spilled, gallons of beer into, and like.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we played shows where it's like we don't. I literally can't hear half the people on stage. I'm just hoping that the notes I'm playing are jiving with John over there. Whatever.
Right. It's crazy. We had to do a radio show. It was like and I forget where it was, Cambridge, I think. And we had to do an acoustic set, like 4 acoustic songs, and we were like, well, we play kind of funky music, so I don't know how we're going to make this happen. And we did it, and we were so surprised at how good it came out. We were like, wow, some of these songs could be like acoustic, and we actually we couldn't believe it. And I said, wow. So I'm wondering, and I know this is going to be kind of strange, but if Major Moment, if some of your songs could be done
well,
acoustically,
actually,
you know?
yeah, actually, the Before It's Too Late sounds the best out of all of the songs that we have in acoustic version.
Oh, that's what you think. I have a different opinion. It's okay. It's okay. I have a different opinion. I feel like we could definitely pull off like at least a 6,
but for
7.
now,
Yeah.
I mean, we can transform all the songs, and it would be very interesting. We were talking about it, like. It would be interesting to transform something like Living Your Life Like This, which is very complicated and full of different sounds, and strip it down and put it into like acoustic version. And like
both of your vocals are so strong that I think it would carry over if you tried it, you know?
cool.
Thank you. It's a lie, but thank you.
Ah.
No. I don't bullshit on here. I'm dead serious with what I say.
Thank you.
We seriously have tons of work to do as far as our vocals go. We are aware of that, and we keep working on that. Speaking of Living Your Life Like This, it's the song that hangs on C throughout like 75%. So to play it on an acoustic guitar, you have to be a little bit creative, because otherwise it's just gonna be da, da, da. It's like, how are we gonna possibly pull this off? But we're working on it, and it's coming together, which is a cool part. We've played an acoustic show, a couple acoustic shows in the past.
Well, on the radio, yeah. What else can you do there?
To various degrees of success. We had some, but I feel like there was a necessity, and that definitely pushed us towards some thoughts like of how we can actually make it work so we enjoy it as well, you know, and so we can be proud of it, because right now I feel like it's kind of like a compromised version of what you are, you know, in our case. And thank God if people are aware and like familiar with our music to begin with, like if they're a fan of Major Moment and they're listening to an acoustic rendition of our song, they're kind of be like, okay, I know where these guys are going. But we've done like, for example, a So Far show where we had to perform in front of a crowd of like 30, 40 strangers.
Oh,
right?
It was a lot.
There was a lot of people. It was sold out for So Far. It wasn't sold out for us. It was for another artist. But like it was one of the conditions. You have to perform without any electronic elements altogether, like unplugged, completely acoustic guitars and cajon, and that's it. And so this is how we done it. And you know, people just didn't know what to think of us. They were like, what are you? Like, a sandwich idiot.
Yeah, I know. I get that for sure. Now, here's a question I like to ask people. Idiot sandwich, yeah. If you guys could open for any band in the history of music, Major Moment opens the show, and then you pick a band to end the show. Who would you pick out of any band in history, or artist, any single artist too?
We have many, but like obviously, there's one that made the most impact on us. That's Linkin Park.
Oh wow!
That's not happening.
But that's not happening, at least not anytime soon.
Right.
And, you know, not in this universe, right? We tried to go and open. We tried to go and send some proposals for us to open for Mike Shinoda when he was doing his solo shows a couple years ago. Unfortunately, there was no positive answer to that, which is fine. There was no negative answer to that either. There's just no answer.
You know what? That's always good.
That's a good one.
I find that if it's not a negative answer, it's still a
right. It's right, exactly. You know, but from current ones, I'd love to open for Bring Me the Horizon. I feel like those guys are cool, and I feel like they're going with something that is unconventional. People are accusing them of going to pop and like selling out. I don't think they're selling out. I feel like at this point, like they couldn't care less. Like they're just gonna do whatever they want as well. Like they already made their money with Sempiternal that's gonna last them until the rest of their lives. You know, with that one album.
They say bands sell out and stuff. I just call it evolving. You know, they just evolve into something else, and you know, whether the fans like it or not, as long as the artists are happy, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, how many dozens of years did you expect this guy to like scream his throat out? You know, like he already did it for like 10 years. Come on.
All right, time for some. Yeah, exactly.
Or even the Chili Peppers in the 80s that you
Yeah,
mentioned. They were
totally.
some of their songs just sound so similar. And then now their songs are, you can tell each one apart. They've evolved as a band. They sound a little bit more mature. And that's cool. You know, some people might not like it, but I think it's cool when a band goes from one thing to another like that, because it shows that they tried to do different things, and I think it's important.
I feel like I can compare
unless
it to
you're Coldplay.
Unless you're Coldplay. Come on.
Or like Maroon 5.
I feel like I can compare it to a relationship. You know, you fall in love with somebody who's like, let's say, you know, in school, right? Like who's 17 or 18 years old, right? But do you expect that person to have the same mentality like when she's 34 or he's 34? No, of course not.
Right.
Like you either grow with them together or like you grow apart. That's either or.
Right.
Like you cannot expect, you know, if you love something, you have to be able to evolve with that person, you know, with that genre of music, with that band, you know. And with Linkin Park, for example, it was the same thing, you know, like people were bashing them for, you know, going away from Hybrid Theory and Meteora. And people always wanted them to come back to it. And they were always making jokes of those people that, you know, that's never going to happen. And now I understand why. You know, I was one of those people who was probably secretly wanted to, for them to do another album like that. And when their latest album came out, I was a little bit disappointed with more like commercial pop sound. You know, the songs were there, but like there was some, you know, country elements, and there was some like production, like pop production elements that couldn't just like get behind. But you know, and I guess I just didn't have enough time to like fully understand like what exactly they were trying to do. It's still the album that I like the least out
selfish, you know,
selfish, right? If they liked it, that's their right to experiment and do whatever, you know. Whether they're happy, they're probably happy with the result as well, you know. I'm not personally considering this album their best album to date, but you know, who am I to judge, right?
And it sounds different.
It's yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like I don't know if you're familiar with Radiohead.
Yeah, totally.
They released that song "Creep" in the early '90s. And that was like that was an anthem, and then they were like, "We are never playing.
Never gonna play it live. We're never playing it live."
And their music is completely off the cuff. It's not even close to that anymore. And they made the decision. They were like, "We're gonna evolve. You're never gonna hear that from us again." And I think that's kind of cool because it shows the band's not stuck in the past. They just keep moving along, you know.
Right. And they have such a cult following. You know, that's one of those bands that just, you know, whatever they're gonna release, it's always gonna be like a huge fan base, like just consuming everything they do, just because they're so involved with this. You know, they're so engaged with the band, they're so like on the same page, you know. I guess, you know, the vibe or whatnot, right? Like the commitment is there. The commitment is there. That fan artist relationship is certainly there, you know.
For sure. Absolutely. One question that I love asking, and this is going to be kind of difficult because there's two of you. You both can have two different answers. Now you can do, okay, so trying to figure out how to word this. So either of you, both of you, if you could have dinner with any three people in history, doesn't have to be music either, who do you think those three people would be? And I know you're going to change your mind tomorrow, but just in the spur of the moment, you just choosing three people. Like I said, there's nothing music. It could just be anybody ever. Who do you think it would be? Collectively or separate?
Wow.
It's going to be Andre.
You're having a dinner with me?
Yes.
When are they going to open the restaurants? I promise you, we're going to make it a possibility and a reality. Hopefully in this universe.
Yeah, this universe. It's got to be this universe.
No, we already had many dinners together. Let's just you know.
Well, let's see. How about this? You both are going to be there, and you get to choose one person each.
Okay, I know what I'm doing. So, oh my God, we're going into dark territory right now. I don't know. Like people are going to be like, What did you say and why did you say? So
we got some weird answers in the past, so I don't think it's
strange answers. Very strange.
I'm sweating a little bit. But like if the moment you mentioned history, right? Like I would say Hitler.
Wow.
How about that? You know, I would want to have a dinner with him. Like I might stab him with a fork.
Right.
But still be a dinner. But I really would like to pick this guy's brain. Like, what the hell were you thinking? Like,
that's a great answer, man. That's an amazing answer because, you know, people wouldn't even think of something like that. Like, you bring somebody on who you love, but this guy is like, you have to really be like, what's up? Why did it happen?
Right. I love like good arguing, you know, like sometimes I get way too far into arguing about something I'm not agreeing to. But, you know, I like to hear, you know, somebody else's opinion and somebody else's point of view, you know, just to kind of, you know, get like, we're not the same, you know, we're not, all people are different, you know, it's such like obvious things, right? So we don't ever think the same. Like, you know, I live with Sasha and we often think the same, but not always.
Yeah.
You know, so that's interesting. So even like having conversations between between us, it's always interesting. And like I always discover something about my life partner. You know, she always discovers something about myself. The other day, I cried on her shoulder for the first time in our 6-year relationship. She saw me crying.
That's true.
That's amazing.
And she always blamed me, like, you never cry. I don't know what's wrong with you. You're some kind of a robot or something.
And I think
you never
it's
cry.
wrong because like it's okay to cry, even if you're a man. Like there's a stigma about it that like men don't cry. You know, that's so wrong.
Yeah, it is so wrong. I cry all the time. I'm a baby.
Video games, probably movies, right? Yeah, same
movies,
here.
Commercials. If I hear a song, I'll start crying during a song sometimes if it moves me.
Right.
I'm hoping that at least in 2020 the stigma's starting to go away because we all cry.
I do cry as well. I just do it secretly. You know, I just, you know, for some reason I would always hate, like, you know, when you see somebody cries, right? Cry, you always feel like bad, and you always feel like you want to help them with something. You know, and you want to fix something. You know, they're broken in some way, and you want to fix that little part. You know.
Right.
And you know that's something that just probably wrong with me.
No.
But you know, that was one instance, right? But we were talking about Hitler, right? Right.
We went from Adolf Hitler to men crying.
Right. That's the beauty of like podcasts and conversations. I hope you guys have at least 2 more hours because like I'm on a Joe Rogan rant right now.
That's our format.
Anyway, second person for myself would be Roger Federer, because Sasha is such a huge fan. Sasha
is thinking that person right now, so he had to say.
I had to
so
say.
That's,
Right.
that's exactly what's happening, you know.
Right.
Sasha is an ex tennis player professionally.
Oh, that's so nice that you picked him for me.
So we have an amazing tennis player and the Führer.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what Sasha has to say. I want to see what her pick is.
And my third would be probably Chester Bennington because he's gone. You know.
That's it. I don't know what to say now.
You're happy
you agree with his? That's fine.
You're fine with Hitler as well, joining us.
Yeah.
For a nice dinner.
Actually, that was really interesting answer, and I would be scared as fuck, but who cares?
I would be scared as fuck. Like, what can one person do? He could not possibly do anything by himself. It just, you know, he was such a mastermind of manipulating other people that it all became possible. You know, that's the lesson for all of us. You know, don't fall the victim of manipulations of somebody else. You know, always think for yourself. You know, regardless of what people tell you. Always think about the consequences, you know, and always think about the history, because history has a tendency of repeating itself.
Right.
Cycles. Yeah.
Cycles.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I bet you Adolf Hitler, he orders chicken nuggets. I bet you goes to the kids menu.
He's a vegetarian.
It's possible.
He's a vegetarian.
He's a vegetarian.
He's a vegetarian.
Yeah,
he's
a vegetarian.
I didn't know that. It's a veggie burger.
Oh my god.
Yeah, interesting. Veggie nuggets. Yeah, like Yeah, for real.
Nuggets.
Vegan nuggets. Yeah.
He'd be into Beyond Meat, I think. Beyond Meat and all that meatless veggie burgers and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it would be a long conversation too. Like one of my grandfathers died in World War II, right? And another grandfather of mine had to fight the war. Both of my grandmothers, who were doctors, they had to, serve in the battlefield as like nurses, and
Wow.
Yeah.
so we have a huge history as far as like Hitler goes. I guess that would be one of the reasons I just want to know, like, some answers to the questions,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
I actually
That'd be
had
very
one of
cool.
the relatives, like grandfathers of mine, who were on a helicopter above the Chernobyl. That they were pouring water or sand into the.
On a different note, yeah, but
Yeah.
still as a disastrous of an event, yeah, for sure, yeah.
This is crazy.
You said
For
Sasha,
sure,
that was a relative of yours that was.
Yeah.
No way! Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't remember much, unfortunately. What they were telling so many stories.
Now, I'm assuming you guys have seen the HBO special Chernobyl, that series.
Oh yes,
we just binge watched it.
Oh yeah, I watched it like a week. It was
a week. We watched like 4 episodes, like in
one night. Yeah, we watched
finished...
it in one night. We only had one episode left next morning, and we watched it.
Well, this is when it first came out, so I had to wait. Till
yeah. See, we were late.
Right.
We're smart.
I know. I should have waited so I could just do it all in one night. But a lot of people talk about the accuracy of the historical accuracy of that movie or miniseries. And I'm curious to see because you guys are from the area. I wonder if you have any opinions on how accurate it was, or if it was pretty on the nose as to what historically happened at Chernobyl.
As far as I can say, the atmosphere of like the USSR and that age was just incredible. It like this, to the little details, they nailed it. And the fact that British were there, like
imitating Russians.
It was just like mind blowing.
Wow.
Yeah, I think there are definitely some debates as far as the historical points and whether or not they were
maybe here and there could be, but I think I can't verify myself, but watching it just felt authentic when I was watching it.
Listen, watching it
for sure.
For us, being born and raised in Russia, we lived there for 20 years of our lives. Watching this was a mind-blowing moment for me and for Sasha as well, because you could see like the desk is the desk that we would see when we were little.
The kiosks with those newspapers.
Right, like the little details, the pencils were the same brand or something like that. The calendar.
Down to the detail.
It's like...
It's to the tiny details,
insane.
I'm telling you.
It's insane.
It's
not to mention they had British actors that totally would go as Russians.
They were nailing the accents, the behavior, like how people would behave.
They even look like Russians. They even look like Russians. That's insane.
How do they do that?
I have no idea. That's what actors do.
They just change their face somehow? I don't get it.
I don't know. They found the most Russian British people ever, probably. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
right.
If only they weren't speaking in English. They could have totally fooled me. If they spoke in Russian, I would be like, that's Russian people playing in Russia. Somehow they got like all this shit from the museums and whatnot, to like stage it, because I couldn't find a single flaw. And like, I'm always like cautious about like little details, and like, I'm attentive to those things. And like, to me, it matters. Like the whole picture has to make sense and like has to, be real. Like otherwise it's, it's just
when the reactor, when all the engineers were in the control room and they had that tyrannical boss still like, just do it, do your job, just do your job or whatever. And, and the guy's like, we shouldn't do this. We're going to overhaul the system. He's like, just follow the book, man.
Right.
And when they hear that explosion and the guy's like, what the hell was that? It was just so cool. It's like, it's just such a, it was so tense. And, oh man, it's such a, like,
it's a deep scene, it's like in one move they cover the
Russia.
whole,
right.
the whole.
And it's like,
the whole era.
Yeah, era.
Guess I have to watch this. I haven't seen it.
I can't believe it. And you learn so much too. It's like at the end, you learn it's impossible for this reactor to explode for this, and they find out that it was tipped in a certain I forget the material, but the control rods were tipped. Again, I forget what it was, but that was enough to spark the nuclear reaction, and that's what.
Right.
But,
there are different theories and whatnot, but like from a creative standpoint, it's a masterpiece. I can't believe this. Like I have not seen that quality piece of a television in
oh my god,
a long time.
I don't know how long.
You're right. Yep. And you can tell when these good shows come out, when these good movies come out, you can tell like okay, this is something good. Every once in a while, I'll watch a movie, you're like, that was good. That was good. And then in these other shows, it's like this is crap, But
right.
Once in a while, you get that show that's freaking amazing. Like this is so good,
Right.
I enjoyed it.
We don't often watch TV either, like I personally, I always go the binge watching route, like if I know something is quality and I just have to do it, I do it. The same thing was for me when Lost came out for the first time.
Oh my god, you watched it?
I watched it. Yeah, it was very good for a certain period of time.
I agree with that statement. The first 3 seasons, I was like, this is a good show. The last couple of seasons, I was like, I don't know what they're doing now.
Right. The Walking Dead.
They got lost.
I said that. I said that out loud. I was like, lost.
Sorry.
Everybody was like, that was a stupid joke, and I was like, that was a good joke.
Yeah. Absolutely. We're good at dad jokes, for sure. Yeah,
great. That's a great joke.
The Walking Dead. I really, really, really loved the first season. The first season was like a masterpiece.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
I'm a huge zombie guy. Like I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. Like,
oh, that's so cool. All right, so I'm a zombie guy too, but I never watched The Walking Dead. I watched the first episode. I'm like, this isn't close enough to Resident Evil for me. So I'm a big Resident Evil gamer.
Yeah, game. Yeah, absolutely game. Not the movies.
Game. Although the Resident Evil movie that came out in the 90s, I thought was pretty cool. Remember that? I don't know if you saw that. It was like back in the 90s it came out. It was, it was actually a Resident Evil movie that came out. It's on. You can rent it on YouTube, I think. I think it's worth a watch.
As far as The Walking Dead goes, I mean, I watched up to like the 3rd or 4th season, but for me, you want to know what absolutely destroyed The Walking Dead for me? Game of Thrones came out.
Okay.
And absolutely just chucked that show out of the water for me. Because to me, The Walking Dead was cool because of the zombies, but the acting was kind of going downhill.
It was going downhill big time, yeah.
Every episode was the same. It was like a couple of zombies die and then there's conflict. Next episode, some zombies die, same conflict.
Ouch.
Right. It's
yeah.
That was like not really a good piece of television at that point. It was just like they're trying to drag it, like they're trying to get like people to watch it. They're trying to drag the plot.
And now what are they on season 10 now? It's like it's still going.
Oh no, I can't. Really? Oh no. Not for me. I also quit about the same point that you did, by the way. At some point, it just like. I remember the prison, and right after the prison, it went.
That was me. Yeah, prison. Yep.
Yeah, that was probably the end for me. I was like, nah, it's just every episode I watch is like 40 minutes of my time, lost. It's wasted, right? Yeah.
For me, especially with Lost, when it comes to, I always like ambiguous things in shows and stuff, like things that like in Lost they had that black smoke thing in the forest.
I absolutely love that.
As soon as you found out what it was, I was like, that's stupid as hell.
Right.
It ruined it for me. I love watching horror movies, things when I don't know what's going on, and it ends and I still don't know what's going on, because then I can really use my imagination, and that's what I wanted to do with like the Seven Witches music video. Was like I wanted the viewer to be like, what am I watching?
See, that's cool.
She was asking me this question. What just happened?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, just I want the viewer to feel strange. That's the only thing I want. And
well, you nailed it.
When movies do that for me, I think it's great. Like, there's a couple of movies that I saw recently, like The Lighthouse. It was a movie that came out recently, and it just doesn't. It makes you just go crazy. Like, what did I just watch? I love movies like that.
I love movies like that as well, and I feel like cliffhangers that are not exactly like cliffhangers. They kind of give you like some room for your own exploration. Like your own imagination. And I feel like that's a great way to
That's art.
to lead the story. Yeah, that's art.
You're absolutely right, Sasha. That is art. It's like part of the component is the part.
Is you? Yes, part of the component is you.
You are part of the equation when it comes to art. Like you are involved in the creative process just by your imagination by itself. And I think art is just a catalyst for people to spark that imagination, bring that imagination out within people. And I think that's the real purpose of art,
Yeah.
And
Totally.
that explains why it's different to everybody. Everybody has a different interpretation, of what art is. And that's what's so cool about it. And everyone has their own taste.
And if you think about it, like going back to the horror movies, right? There's nothing more scary for anybody that except for uncertainty. Like from the times where we were cavemen, like if you didn't recognize something, like there was a threat right there. If you didn't see something, that was a threat right there. So that's the best thing that like directors and filmmakers can apply. That's the best approach. Like just don't show it to us. Like the moment they show any monster, it just becomes way less scary.
Especially if you're not a fan of the direction they took with the monster.
Right.
For instance, the new It movie, Stephen King It.
Yeah.
I just was sitting in the theater, and my wife and I were like, "What are they doing?" We were so angry at these movies because we thought the original with Tim Curry was just so much scarier because they didn't use all that crazy CGI. It was just a guy in a clown costume who was fucking scary.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like he didn't have any like superpowers, like moving super fast, right? Like via CGI, right?
Yeah, he just had some razor sharp teeth, and there was camera work.
Right.
And that was it, man. Like, I love stuff
cool.
like that.
But that's also why The Shining is so scary to me because
always
and it's just Jack Nicholson staring out the window like this. He's just like, and the camera goes slow. He's just like, it's like that. But then like Danny walking down the hallway in the room, I think it was 230, whatever the room was, 237. It's open halfway. Somebody already opened it.
Right.
Right away, I'm freaking
out. Think about like number one, the color scheme in the movie is
right.
odd. It's like early 70s grainy colors. And then it was the camera work and the kid's riding the tricycle. He's taking the next turn, and you don't know what's going to be there, and it screws you up mentally.
Right. Absolutely, right. Not to mention, like you don't see like what is the actual threat in this.
It's the mind,
this hotel. Right? Exactly. It's like you get to see like the hotel is possessed by something, but you don't understand what it's possessed by. Like, and then slowly like. You realize that the characters themselves are like possessed in some way, like
just going
the wife, Jack Nicholson's character, like all of them, they share some kind of a weird, something went wrong with them, like when you watch the first scene, like they're a happy family and like you don't anticipate anything like that.
What could have gone that wrong in just staying in a huge hotel by yourself? I wonder, maybe it was like some fungus thrown in the bread, right? It's crazy. Could be
if you think about it, it's a possibility,
ergot.
But it all goes down to mental health, how you deal with situations. And I was telling Steve about this movie, The Lighthouse, that everybody should see. It's the same exact concept. It's these two guys who don't know each other who have to stay in the lighthouse and watch it for a long period of time. And then the mental health starts to go down and things start happening. And that's when that's the horror. The horror is people's brains and where they can go. Sure. And I think that's so classy in movies. Rather than a big gross monster.
Here we are talking about horror movies and all, and like we legit have like a low-key mannequin naked standing over there.
Okay. I've been staring at that thing for the past 20 minutes. I noticed that like a half hour ago.
I didn't even notice that.
I noticed it like on the 10th minute of our conversation. Like, oh boy.
I'm staring at the thing. I'm like, what is that?
I literally just noticed it.
I'm like, dude, what's going on?
Well, you guys, meet Nadia.
Nadia, she's ex-Andre's girlfriend.
It's a joke, of course.
Because Nadia, Nadezhda, means
hope in Russian.
Hope in Russian.
It's a complicated joke.
Yeah.
Hey, if she was your ex-girlfriend, I'm sure the conversations were always a hit.
Right. Yeah, she would never shut up.
Yeah, never a disagreement.
Oh my God! Yeah, you guys, like that would not be like a better scenario right there. It's crazy.
Oh my God! You guys are an absolute blast. Thank you. So much
Thank you guys so much.
We always talk about doing a part 2. I would love to talk to you guys again.
Likewise,
just about anything. Seriously.
Yeah, totally. Just like we did, right? That was awesome, you guys. Seriously, you know, we do it in a heartbeat as well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
it was so nice meeting you both. Seriously,
nice meeting you guys as well. Thank you for having us, and thank you for everyone who's made it that far in our podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you again. Yeah. It was really nice meeting you. And like Derek said, let's do this again real soon. This was a freaking blast. I think next time we should drink wine and let's get a little loaded.
We should.
We absolutely should. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So, all right, guys, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon and be good, okay?
Thank you guys. Likewise. Take care.
Take care.
Stay safe.
Conspiracy, it's the only crutch that you have on me. The hog in the house with all his rats, we bite our thumbs and never tip our hats.